we'll get started now. I'm Gregory Williams, and I'm joined by my colleague Adrian Diaz. And we are members of the Mindflash Customer Success Team. And as our title suggests, our primary focus is on making sure that your training program is successful. As we see it, successful training programs have two broad components. One is an engaging trainee experience, and the other is a feature set that gives trainers flexibility to customize their program to suit their unique needs. So Adrian and I work with a lot of different customers, and we help them to develop both of those components. And we've come away with a couple of tips and tricks that we would like to share with you today. Incidentally, if you have questions, feel free to type those in the chat box, and we'll answer those after the presentation. So the first thing we'll talk about is the engagement piece. Ultimately, the whole point of training is to convey some message to your trainees, whether that audience is made up of your customers, your partners, or your employees. And ideally, these trainees will retain your message and walk away feeling that their time was well served. This is particularly important if you're training customers, because you want to make a good first impression. You want them to come back and, purchase more of your training. So, what's the best way to ensure that this happens? We think the best way to ensure this happens is to take into consideration the end user experience while building your program. And, after working with a lot of customers, we found that these three things listed here have a huge impact on trainee engagement. And we actually encourage all of our new customers to take these things into consideration when they're launching their program. But honestly, even if you've already launched and are thinking about ways you could iterate on an existing program, these are things you should be considering. So let's talk about each one of these in a bit more detail. So small bits. One thing that we hear a lot when we talk to trainers is that they find that trainees have short attention spans. And, this makes a lot of sense, especially, if you think about the employee training context, in an employee training context, because, people are busy with their jobs, and they often see training, as a distraction from their to-do list. And shorter courses really allow these trainees to take courses at their own pace, between calls or meetings, for instance. And, while we certainly provide features to you as an admin that allow you to set deadlines, we believe that the flexibility to take courses when it's convenient to you is really important to trainees. And so our guidance is really that each of your courses should have 25 to 30 slides at most, and really shouldn't exceed 30 minutes. We also encourage that each slide have narration, which we enable either through our in-product recording tool or audio that's embedded into your PowerPoint files. Now, obviously, sometimes you just have a lot of content that you need to cover, and there's only so much that you can realistically edit. And in those cases, we have a feature called Series, with which I'm sure many of you are familiar. And really, what Series does is it enables you to group similar courses together, and it can be a very effective way of pushing out lots of content in a non-overwhelming way. So, as you can see here, we have a product and sales training, and these are grouped together. And this trainer has decided to enforce a sequence. So someone can't take the call center general training, for instance, until after they finish sales training 101. And this is a very, very popular feature. We have customers using it in all sorts of ways. One of the most popular is a new hire onboarding series, where all of the different courses that a new hire would need to take as they're coming onto a new company are lumped into one series. They can sort of take those courses in between, meeting their new teammates and, team building exercises. But, if you think about the scenario I talked about earlier, where you just have a massive amount of information, like a huge HIPAA training that people need to go through, maybe it makes sense to create several courses and use a nomenclature such as, part 1, part 2, part 3, and group all those into a series. So just, we are didn't just make all this stuff up. We've actually had over 1 million course completions here at Mindflash, and so we have a lot of data about what's working for our customers. And we looked at some of that data, and we found a strong correlation between number of slides and course completions. And so, as I mentioned earlier, really you can see here the sweet spot is really about 5 to 25 slides per course, and you're getting 90 or better completion rate. Let me just say, you really don't want to be that person who forces your trainees to sit through a 1,000 slide presentation. It's just not fun, and honestly, those trainees probably stop paying attention around slide 200. And so if course completions are important to you and to a larger extent engagement, you should be thinking about course length. So another of those things that we talked about as sort of core contributors to engaging courses are videos. So, videos are really a great way to vary up the end user experience so that the trainee is not, looking at a seemingly never-ending stream of slides. In fact, I briefly considered adding a short Mindflash cartoon after this slide to follow my own advice, but videos aren't always appropriate, so you have to use your best judgment. But that being said, we've gotten great feedback from customers who think that videos are an incredibly effective way of demonstrating certain tasks, such as a product demo. I even have a customer who is planning on uploading cooking demos to teach chefs at restaurant sites around their state how to cook new items to their menu. So, there are a lot of possibilities here. Incidentally, Mindflash supports YouTube videos, so if you have a YouTube channel where you're pushing out content, you can really just grab that URL and plop it into a course very easily. We also support both Storyline and Captivate Scorum files, so if you're looking for more interactivity in your courses, that's also something that you can do. So again, the point here is you want to make it interesting. You want to vary up what the end user experience is so they remain engaged. Now, finally, while it's important and useful to test your trainees' retention of course material, we found that sprinkling relatively short, I'd say 5 to 10 question assessments throughout a course to be a much more effective way of testing than one single long quiz at the end. So our general guidance is that if you have a standard 25 slide course, because remember they'll get you those high completion rates, you should aim for about 3 to 4 quizzes, sprinkled throughout. And so, a couple benefits to this format. I think and I found that it really keeps the trainees on their toes because they're getting an assessment, pretty consistently throughout the course. But also, they're being tested on the content soon after it's presented, which can help with retention. So, Mindflash actually has several quiz formats that give you, 6 in fact, that give you a lot of flexibility about the types of quizzes that you're serving up. So unsurprisingly, our most popular quiz types are true, false, multiple choice. But, we have customers who really love our picture labeling format. And for instance, I have a customer who is a retailer, and they're using this picture labeling quiz type to test new associates on what an ideal in-store display should look like. So, you can really let your mind run wild with all the possibilities of these quiz types. And just to give you a sense of what, some of that looks like, you get the idea here. This is 4 photos with, different labels here, and you have to correctly label them. Really, really great opportunity to make it interesting. And just remember, as I said earlier, we do support Scorum content. So if you're looking for even more interactivity, those files allow you to do that. So, we've been talking a lot about the importance of trainee engagement and how you are to ensure that your courses are engaging. And so, whether, none of this is news to you and you've already implemented this advice, or if you're planning to do so now after hearing this, we encourage you to actively monitor your engagement We actually provide you several tools to do so. Here is a screenshot of our engagement tracking tool, which allows you to monitor aggregate level engagement for your courses. So you can track, on average, how long people spent in the course, how long they spent on individual slides, and we also have this cool technology which allows you to determine whether or when people were actually engaged in your course. So you see this sort of this green line, which we give them engagement score. We use some technology to do that. And so if you're interested more about how we do this, we are going to provide a really great help document that goes into detail about this technology, but it's a really effective way of really assessing if the steps that we have suggested in this webinar are moving the needle forward for you. That's the trainee engagement piece. But Adrian is now going to talk about that other piece I mentioned at the beginning, which is how you customize and manage your program using our robust feature set.
Thanks, Gregory. And as he was mentioning, up until this point, we've talked about the importance of thinking about the trainee experience when designing your courses. But equally as important is providing you, the trainer, the tools necessary to evaluate, not just whether the trainees are engaged in your courses, but also how they're doing. So, I'll transition from here to kind of demonstrate some of the product here. But essentially, what you're looking at now is, it's our robust reporting, which really enables you to get a 360 sense of how your trainees are doing on either a high-level basis, or maybe you're interested in looking at them on an individual user level as well. But really, to get the most out of your data that we collect for you, there are a couple of key best practices you should consider implementing, which we've taken from our experience working with various customers. And Gregory and I we do help set up countless types of online training programs every day, and likely the types of employees or clients or customers you train are going to be as varied. We have a lot of customers that are not only training internal employees, which even that in itself can involve more than one department. As you can see here, we have some customer support and developers mixed in together, but it also could include external partners or customers. So with all of these moving pieces, your reporting quickly can become unmanageable and maybe, frankly, unusable. So if you do not organize your users into appropriate groups or take advantage of custom fields to further enhance your reports, you may not be getting the full value back. And part of what you would do, and what many of my customers have done as that first step, is to set up your trainees into appropriate groups, as you can see here. As an example, maybe you might need to train your sales and support teams, as well as provide them some human resources training, like HIPAA training or discrimination training. What other required types of content they need to go through. How you can make sense of it all is to ensure that every time you add a user, that they're bucketed into the appropriate group based on either their role or the department. Or if you're training partners, as you can see here, you can also use this function to better organize them. By taking the time to accomplish this step, adding them to the groups, it will make it easier for you to invite them to courses and only the courses that they need to take. Additionally, every time they do complete a course or a series, you'll be able to report on that specific subset of your users as needed, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment. But another step that you could do, to get the most out of your reports is to utilize our custom fields feature, so you can get even more from the reporting. So in this example, let's say that maybe you're a VP of sales for your company, and you're interested in knowing how well your employees did in their sales 101 course, as we were looking at earlier. And added to that, you might also be interested in seeing which sales manager is seeing the best results out of their employees. Instead of needling through the data, trying to figure out what users are part of what departments or guessing who the manager could be, you could add that information as a custom field and use the data to filter your reports to get the information you need. So as you can see in my example, I'm collecting a variety of data about my users, all of which I could use to drill down in my reports. And so, with that VP of sales example, let's say that I do want to look at everyone that's a part of my sales group and whose manager is Lewis Hamilton. currently, all the results that we see on this page are showing everyone in my company, but by changing the filters here, and then you'll notice that we have some of the custom fields I've created there. So let's go ahead and select that manager I'm interested in looking at. Now all the information is directly relevant to me, and I can quickly download the data I need and take the necessary steps to either keep the momentum going if I like the results I'm seeing, or work with my managers to improve the performance of our employees. And we have a lot of customers that are doing just this, but there might be instances, or maybe for a long-term solution, maybe you don't want to be responsible for inviting another department's trainees to courses, or maybe you want to give your customers reporting data on demand. What you could do is you could, in Mindflash, you can grant someone manager status, which gives them the ability to administer training for their own users and be able to download the reports that are related to them. And so, as I'm demonstrating here, what you can see is I've logged into an account whose role is limited to a manager status, and this particular user is a manager for my customer support group. So every time I log in, I'll only see the information for users that are pertaining to my own group. So everyone here, looks like it's sales, not customer support, but so everyone in my particular group, I can only see those individuals. And even better, when I go into the reports, I don't even have to worry about using the filters because, again, all of the data that I would see would be between or just for my users. So if I want to get a broad overview, I can see that. If I want to look into a particular course, again, everything that I'll see would be for that. And really, this is also, as you can kind of, if you're thinking about if you're training externally, this could also be a great way for them to be able to closely monitor how their own people are doing. So, you can assign someone or assign a contact on their end as a manager and then limit their permission so that they're only seeing results for their own users. They could go in at any time, see how their users are doing with the courses you provided them, which for you as the administrator, managing the entire account, that leaves you free to focus on creating more courses that they could take, or maybe you want to look into enhancing the existing courses you do have so that they're more engaging, as Gregory was talking about. And then another thing that we've noticed over the experiences we had with the different customers is that maybe you are looking into training a more global audience. So want to highlight some features that can facilitate that as well. I'll move over to this page here, and so what you'll see is a course that I've designed and we have that's written in Japanese. And there may be times where you may have to offer the same type of course to your partners or employees that are all located outside of the U.S. Before, what you could do is you could always upload your content in a different foreign language, but now we've given you the ability to translate the emails, the login pages, and such, just by simply with the toggle of a switch, essentially, and then change the language for your users so that they'll have from beginning to end an immersive experience in their own language. Now, imagine if you're selling courses, this is also a great way to give you some more flexibility to increase the pool of buyers, so to speak, that you could have, and that's also a feature that you could take advantage of and be able to utilize. So maybe let's say you're selling widgets and your widgets are awesome. Your outreach may have been limited before with just those customers in the United States, but with this new feature, potentially thousands of people now could learn how to build or sell your widgets across the globe. And added to this, you could also take advantage of custom certificates, which would allow you to offer a certificate unique to each client. And if you're working with companies directly, you could even have their own logo on the certificate as well. Now, lastly, another feature available to you, which you can use to augment your course offerings, is a feature that we call Course Catalog. And we've had a lot of customers utilize this, and in particular, what comes to mind is we had a pharmaceutical company who would go out to these live events, and all of their vendors would be attending. But each vendor would potentially be selling a variety of different types of products. Maybe they're not selling all of your product offerings. So what you could do in that instance and how you could utilize Course Catalog is, you could pass out a link to your course catalog here, and why this might be beneficial. Maybe you don't want to proactively send out invitations to your courses. You want them to have the option of picking and choosing whatever courses relate to them. When you make the course link available, as you'll see here, they'll come across a page like this and then be able to see what courses are available. You can add even series if you'd like as well. And then this will be for that type of personal almost or type of courses. So if you think about university catalog listing, you could have a variety of different types of courses that will help them sell your courses if that's what or sell your products if that's what you're doing, or if you have a sales team, maybe you want them to have good presentation skills or good sales skills, or if you're creating course catalogs for your managers, you can also give them a variety of different types of management training as well. So really, to sum it all up, these are the things that we, over the course of of the several years that we were working with customers, the things you should think about doing for setting up your trainees for success, and then the tools really that you have in your arsenal that you can use to facilitate your online training. And as we mentioned at the very beginning, we'll be going through the chat box to answer some questions. But if you are, also wondering, we'll have this webinar available to you as a video. It'll be hosted through our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mindflashtraining. But we'll also send you an email with that link as well, so you can take a look at that.
Okay, so we want to thank you guys for joining this webinar. What we, as Adrian and I have been saying, we work with a lot of customers who are training big companies, small companies, mom and pop shops, people training customers, partners, a lot of different use cases. And what we've seen is that it's a long-term process. It's a windy road. But if you are a customer of Mindflash, our team is here to support you. So, if you're currently a customer and you haven't talked to one of us, please feel free to reach out to our customer success email address listed here, and we can set up a time to talk about your training needs, what you're doing, what you want to do, how we can help. And as we said, we'll make sure to post this a link to this recording to our YouTube page. So thanks everyone. And sorry. So we should take some questions. So we'll look to see which ones have been listed here. Okay. Okay. So what questions, when questions start on forcing sequencers, can we also unfortunately have to pass the quiz before you want to take this off?
Okay. So the question that we have here is in regards to forcing sequence in a series. Currently, there isn't a way of enforcing it in such a way where if they fail a quiz in the first or second course, or whatever order it may be, and then if they fail, preventing them from moving forward. That is something that we have come across as a feature request before, but just currently there isn't a way of setting it up in exactly that way. So what we've typically recommended before as a way around that would be to make sure that the passing requirements are at least high enough so that if your users are failing too many courses, then you could at the very least make sure that they won't get a certificate if they haven't met a specific passing requirement. And I think one other question before that one is, what is SCORM? SCORM, it's it's a way of providing. It's a way of providing different type of content. Is one of the ways that I like to think about it. So if you think about PowerPoint, you can have some animations and some audio narration included in it. But with SCORM, you might also want to have some more interactivity in the presentation itself. So, as an example, you could have them click on a button in the slide, and then that'll start a particular video, or maybe you want to do like branching for your stories. So if the user scores a particular, if they score 80% as an example, they'll go to branch A, or if they scored higher than that, then go to branch B. So you have some flexibility with how they could take their content, and so really that's one of the things that differentiates that between some other content.
So someone else wants to know, will they have access to the data as shown? So we really covered our entire feature set during this presentation. Some of these things are based on your tier. So if you go to our website, we have a very nice breakdown of features into the buckets of tiers. So that's a really great place to look to see if you have access to these features. But again, also you can reach out to us at that customer success email address, and we can have a conversation about that offline. How do we determine trainee engagement? So we have a product or a tool called Focus Assist. And just the clip notes is it essentially uses the webcam as a motion detector to determine facial expressions while people are looking at a course. And this is how we sort of monitor people's reaction to various slides. It's a very, very cool feature, and we have a very neat help document that goes into greater detail about it. But we're happy also if you reach out to us, we can even demo it for you or give you a more detailed explanation about that.
And another great thing too, even though we are using the webcam either on their laptop or maybe they're taking it on their iPad, none of that information is stored beyond us giving it essentially an engagement score, and then also you wouldn't be able to see, that John Smith or Michael Johnson whether they were paying attention or not. So you wouldn't see information on an individual level. It's all aggregate. So, yeah, just important to keep that in mind there. And then next question: do you recommend organizing learners into just one group? Typically, I do. Well, I guess it'll depend on your use case, but generally, why I would shy away from recommending that is if you have a variety of different use cases or different departments, or if there ever is going to be an instance where some trainees will have to take course A and some trainees will have to take course B, then that makes it difficult for you to utilize groups, yeah, because they're all lumped together in one. So the benefit of having more than one group is that you're cleanly organizing them, and then with 2 clicks you can invite that group to a course.
Yeah, because I would say that one of the biggest value props of the grouping is the ability to target specific courses to certain subsets of your user base. So certainly you could have, theoretically, one group, but I think it kind of defeats the purpose. I think you really want to be able to slice and dice your user base for reporting purposes, but also, as Adrian said, for targeting purposes. So are the filters by custom fields only available? The filters by custom field is a pro-level feature. So you would need to be on that tier to have access to that.
And depending too on what you were looking for specifically, you're in the basic and the advanced tier, you're able to have at least one custom field. So you have that option to be able to collect a piece of information about your users. But when it comes to drilling down into your advanced reports by those fields, yeah, that would be in the pro plan. And I believe that answers that second question: are filters by custom fields only available with the pro plan? So no, you have them in all tiers really, but in the basic and in the advanced you have up to 1, and in the pro tier you have up to 10, and then added to that the ability to filter your results. This is really good stuff. Oh, thanks. This is what we wake up in the morning to do, right? We definitely love working with everyone, so appreciate that. does the language translator apply only to the application itself, or will it modify the language inside the course itself? So good question. What our language tool does is translate all of the user-facing pages and emails they receive. So if you think about sending a course invitation email or a reminder email or those sorts of things, but it would not translate your PowerPoints, or if you had video, it wouldn't translate that as well. So the content itself would be, or you would need to do that outside of Mindflash, but whether it's in Japanese or French, Canadian, whatever language you choose for your content, you upload that, and then you have the option of being able to customize those emails and login pages.
So, Tom, if you want to have a session with either Adrian or myself, just go to that customersuccess@mindflash.com email address, shoot us an email, and one of us will reach out to you and set up a time to chat. So, how many quizzes do you recommend? I would say 3 to 4 for a standard, 20 to 30-minute course. Just because, ideally you would want, a quiz at the beginning, quiz at the middle, quiz near the end. And I just think that's a nice balance. Clearly, it is dependent on what you're testing, and if there are certain requirements for the type of course you're pushing out. So maybe, if you're doing HIPAA training, you really need more quizzes and they need to be longer or something like that. But generally speaking, I would say about 3 to 4 sprinkled throughout beginning, middle, end. This question about have you considered adding media options to quiz questions such as audio or video media? So again, we do support Storyline and Captivate scoring files, and you have a lot of flexibility about quizzes there. And so I think, at least for right now, that's going to be our answer to, or our solution rather, to people who want to do that.
Yeah, and then the other option that I've recommended before would be to perhaps have that video that you'd like to display to your users right before the quiz, and then use the next 3 to 4 questions or however many you decide to use, testing them on that video. All quizzes are open book, so they would be able to go back and review it. Although your question, yeah, we don't do that at this time, and I think it's an interesting idea. Definitely would love to hear your thoughts as far as what type of training you're setting up, and how that would be useful for you. So yeah, we're always looking for ways to improve the product.
Absolutely.
Short quiz is good, but problem of so it's easy to flunk if only a few questions. Suggest on how to balance these two things. So how I've described this before, and really how I think we like to think about it is, if you are setting up a variety of different or multiple quizzes in the course, you still at least have that option to grade them on a grade, pass or fail them based on an average score. So if on an individual quiz, it may be easy for them to fail, but if you have enough of these quizzes going in, and if they're understanding the material enough, I think their average score should at least be high enough for them to pass. But I think you're right. If you are worried about there are only a few questions, so if they miss one, that they would fail that quiz. Then maybe thinking about adding more questions to that quiz if you're truly worried about them failing it, or thinking about the overall course average score, and using that really to determine whether they pass or fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, bulk uploading of users and trainees and assessments. Yes, so we do have the ability to bulk upload users. So in fact, the most popular way to get users into Mindflash is via our Excel uploading function. You basically go into manage users, and the second option is to upload those people that way. We also support, we have a Yammer integration. I don't know if everyone on the call is familiar with Yammer, but it's a social networking tool for businesses. We have an integration with that tool, so you can actually import your users from there. And then also for people who truly have very complex training programs, we actually have an API that you can set up an import of your users. So a lot of flexibility to bring users in. And in terms of the assessment, I don't know if your question is if you can bulk upload quizzes, but currently you cannot. You would need to, well, so if you're just using our Mindflash tool without the SCORM files, you need to create those quizzes individually. If you're using the SCORM files, you create those files in Captivate or Storyline, and then you import those into Mindflash, and we just house it. So when you create a catalog, you have a couple of options. So the way people access, so the question is, I realize we weren't actually reading the questions. I know you guys can see them, but I'll just, from now on, we'll read the question. So this question is, when you create a catalog, does the system provide the link to that catalog? And the answer is yes. When you create a catalog, you have a couple of options. You can either make it public, which means anybody with the link to that catalog can register for Mindflash and then access that course, that catalog. And so this is sort of in line with that use case that Adrian was talking about, where we have that customer who's pharmaceutical, who goes to these trade shows, and they're really just trying to market their courses. They want as many people to see them as possible. So it's public, you have the link, you can access it, you can look at the courses. Another option would be that example that he was talking about, let's say an internal sort of university training sort of thing, where you don't necessarily want to proactively invite people to a PowerPoint 101 course, but you only want your people internally who've taken courses before to have access to that. You can make it only for current trainees. So a lot of flexibility, but to answer your question, it is accessed via a link.
So the next question, you talked about listing a manager as a resource in the advanced reports. How do you list the manager? For that, you would do it from the Manage Users page. If you're on the Pro tier, what you'll see, simply you'll click on the person's name that you want to make a manager. You'll see a right panel appear, and it says User Information. Under that section, you're given the options of either changing their role from trainee to manager, trainee to trainer, or trainee to administrator. But in the example that I was talking about, if it's someone outside of the company, but you want to give them access to advanced reports, then manager would definitely be the way to go for that. Okay, so when a course or series expired or is failed, how can I reassign it? So if expires, if they've missed the deadline, you'll see an option to reset them. If you invite them to a course individually, it's on the distribute page where you'll find that reset button. On the series level, depends on whether the series itself is expired or an individual course in the series. But again, the button will be there. So if you have trouble locating that, definitely feel free to shoot us an email at customersuccess@mindflash.com or help@mindflash.com, and we can guide you better through that process.
So what is the difference between the Pro and the Unlimited product? Really, the difference is the number of people that active trainees that you have accessing the course. There's not really a difference in the features at that point. The Pro tier allows you to have up to 1,000 active trainees and up to is it 100 trainers? How many trainers? 50 trainers, 1,000 active trainees. But we have a lot of customers who need a lot more than that, and so the Unlimited tier allows you to add on additional buckets of users.
So you went over changing languages too quickly. Are you changing the language or just the language of the certificate or the whole course. So for that, yeah, definitely didn't go through all the different steps there, so apologize for that. But when you change that setting that I mentioned on the customized page from English to your desired language, it's changing it on the certificates, on the email, so it's what we were talking about earlier, and also the login pages. So those are the things that are changing, but really for you, from your perspective, it's as easy as that, just toggling that switch and changing the language, and then we take care of the rest for you.
Incidentally, I don't know if we covered this, but from the trainee perspective, they have the ability to toggle all the menus and things into the language they choose. Now, they can't, so let's say you upload a course, so you upload a PowerPoint in Japanese, and this person speaks Spanish. They can change the menu of Mindflash to Spanish, but that course that you uploaded is not going to change. So we allow them to change the menu, but not the course. You control the language of the course.
Is test and lesson completion data available for a module of lessons as well as a single lesson? So we don't really have the the concept of a lesson. So if by lesson you mean just like the course, so we have the concepts of course and series. So if you have a single course and then you have a variety of different PowerPoints in that course, and each PowerPoint is its own lesson, then depending on if you're utilizing that best practice we mentioned, where you're inserting different quizzes at different points, that would be one way to get data on what they scored on lesson 1, because you'll see them go through content 1, and then they'll go and reach the first quiz. That first quiz is testing them completely on lesson 1, so you'll be able to track that. But if you're setting up your courses that way, then at that point we definitely would recommend you think about splitting them up into series instead. It's clearer for you because you'll see them in course 1 or course 2, and won't have to worry about whether they're 75% of the way through in the course and wondering at what lesson are they seeing at that juncture. So hopefully that answered the question. But if not, as I said, definitely feel free to shoot us an email, and we'd be happy to guide you through the process.
Okay, so do you have a way to set up a test completion time? So if what you mean by this, I think I understand, because we've had this question before. If you mean sort of like a time test, no. We do give you the ability to track the duration of a course, so you can see how long individuals, and again, as I showed you, on aggregate, people are spending in a course. The only workaround I've seen people do is they'll say, well, you can use the deadline feature and give people, like a day. But I think, generally speaking, our value prop and the way we think training is best served up is if you give trainees the flexibility to take courses when it's convenient, within reason. Obviously, that's why we, give you the ability to create a deadline. But we really want trainees to be able to take it when it's convenient for them, and that's a big value prop of ours. Can an employee belong to more than one group? Yes, and I would tell you for pretty much every customer I have, they do. Because someone could be a part of sales, but they can also be a manager, and they can also be in the Northeast. I think that one thing we encourage you to do when you're setting up Mindflash in the beginning is to be very thoughtful about how you want to slice and dice your customers, because it just makes it a lot easier to manage going forward, as Adrian mentioned.
How can you add snapshots of a document into the questions you're asking?
So by this, do you mean, so, well, you can't respond. So how can you add snapshots? So I think if I understand this question, it's pretty much what I did just now in our presentation. You can take screenshots and you can include those in your PowerPoints that you're uploading. We also support PDFs, so, and Word documents. So, you could have screenshots in there. That. And if that doesn't answer your question, feel free to clarify either here or just shoot us an email.
Right. And then also, obviously with quizzes, with those pictures, labeling items in a picture or picture labeling, so the two different types that we have. I mean, personally, I use a free tool called Sketch to take screenshots, and so if you're looking for something quick and easy and free, then that's a good tool to take a screenshot of really anything, documents, a part of your software if that's what you're using. So that's how we got some of those screenshots into our courses there.
And at the end of this, we're in addition to providing you this link, we are going to just provide a couple of links to help documents to cover things that we talked about. And we can also put a link in about Sketch because I use it as well, and I think it's a phenomenal way to take screenshots and draw arrows really easily, and free. So that's always good.
Free is good.
Free is good. Yeah.
Can users reset their passwords themselves? Can the administrator do bulk password resets? So the answer to those questions is yes. The second one's a little bit more involved, but so regards to the first question, can they reset their own password? On the login pages, there is a forgot password link. So how that works, all they have to do is click on the link, enter their email address, and then our system will automatically send them an email with the link to reset their password. For that second question, if you can bulk update their passwords, it's a bit of a workaround, but what you can do is you can utilize our usernames feature, which we didn't cover in this webinar, but as part of that feature, you have the ability to set someone's password. So, in a nutshell, the way you would do it is you would have your spreadsheet with their first name, last name, email, and then their password field, and then you create their passwords in that spreadsheet. I think just to avoid maybe making any changes you don't want to do, inadvertently, certainly feel free to reach out to us and we can walk you through those steps. But yeah, there is a way to do that. But maybe if you don't want to do that work on your end, you probably, I would recommend just letting them know that the option to reset their password is on the login page, and just have them do that. Do you have to have Focus Assist enabled to measure engagement? So yes, if you want to see how engaged they were at different points in the course. So that was the, excuse me, the green line that Gregory was demonstrating. But even if you have Focus Assist disabled, you still get the ability to see how long they're taking on average in the entire course, and also how long they're taking on each individual slide. But yeah, unless you have that Focus Assist feature enabled, then yeah, you would lose that ability to know whether you're keeping your users engaged and at what points in the course.
So within grouping of courses, can you have subgroups within the main group? No, you can't. But again, you can have multiple groups. A person can belong to multiple groups, and so for pretty much I'd say every customer that I've worked with, this has worked well. But we'd love to chat offline if you want to reach out to us about your specific needs, because again, as Adrian said earlier, we're always looking for feedback and things we can do to improve the product. And so if you can explain to us your use case, we can make a case for it potentially. So if any alterations are made to quizzes/tests, will the advanced reports be altered or even lost as well? You want to make sure that when you're making changes to quizzes, you're not doing that while you have people actively taking quizzes, because there can be some changes in the data you see. My guidance to my customers has been, you create a course, you push it out. Let's say you have a deadline. If you feel the need to make changes to a quiz, after that deadline is passed, make those adjustments. So I think the simple answer is yes, but again, I think it does bear a little bit more explanation to your specific case. So again, you can reach out to us and we can talk about all the different implications.
Is there a way to delete a trainee completely? I know you can archive, but what about delete? So that isn't an option that we have in the product, and one of the primary reasons for that was that we wanted to give you the ability to track all of your results historically. So, including times when maybe if an employee had left the company, maybe you'll need to download the reports and show that they took their courses, or if they failed, something that was required, and you want to be able to demonstrate that later on. But so yeah, there isn't a delete option there, unfortunately.
So with short quizzes, do you get one cumulative score for the course? It depends. You have a lot of flexibility there. So I'll talk about this very briefly, sort of cliff notes sort of stuff, and we can talk about it offline. But with quizzes in courses, you have two options. You can either look at the aggregate performance on a given course. So let's say you have 3 quizzes in a course. You can say that you want to set a minimum passing score for the course, which means, let's say you set a 70%, we're going to average the score on the 3 courses rolled up into that course, and we're going to verify that it meets that 70% benchmark. So that's sort of that aggregate sort of cumulative score you're talking about. The other option is, maybe it's a compliance training and you really need them to pass every single quiz with a certain score that's in the course. So you have those 3 quizzes in the course, but you want them to get a 100% on each of those quizzes. You can actually set a passing score for each quiz, and they wouldn't pass the course if they didn't meet that bar for each individual quiz. Hope that answers your question. If not, we can talk about it offline. How long do you need to wait to run a report? Advanced reports are only updated every 24 hours, right?
Yes, and we put a timestamp in the upper right corner of your reports, so that's going to show you, up until what point you'll see reporting data. So, as an example, if I were to take a course right now and I go into my advanced reports, that wouldn't show up until tomorrow.
Oh, and I think we skipped one, which was can you add narration with pre-existing uploaded PowerPoints, or do you have to have narration already within the PowerPoint? Both. So you could take a PowerPoint that you have on your desktop that already has animation and audio and upload it, and we preserve all that stuff. You can also take a completely blank PowerPoint and upload it and record audio directly in Mindflash. And you don't have to do that the first time you upload the file. You can actually go back to old, like if you have courses already uploaded into Mindflash that don't have audio, I think you should go back and do that, and you actually can. You can go back to an old course and now add audio on top of those slides.
So when a student fails an exam, they usually have 2 times to pass it again before additional action is taken. Do you have the capability to allow the user to retake a test a couple of times so they can pass? So there is that option. You have the ability to give them, if you're setting it up so that, so it is on an individual question level. So if you were looking at having them take the quiz the first time around, and then if they fail, have them retake that individual quiz again. So that functionality isn't there. But to get a similar working solution, you should probably consider giving them more than 1 attempt per question. And if they go through the quiz and they still have remaining attempts on any of those questions they missed, then they could go ahead and retry it. But not currently there wouldn't be a way for them to retake the entire quiz again unless they were retaking the whole course, but that would mean that they start from the beginning and not just from the point that they left. Are you sure you can't support IE8 a bit longer? Yeah, so unfortunately for that, we are not able to support it longer. Really, a lot of different reasons for that, but since April, as you might have seen already, the Microsoft has discontinued their support for that browser. So, it really is a security risk to continue using it. But, even more in line with our product, IE8 in particular was preventing us from incorporating a lot of these new features. And so for us to continue to support that, and, it would really hold back our ability to give you all of those tools that you can use to augment your training. And so, decision was made here. And so, yeah, unfortunately, IE8 is no longer supported for both trainees and trainers. But yeah, if you have any issues with that, then definitely let us know and shoot us an email, and we can see if what your thoughts are there, and if it would be possible to upgrade the browser, because I think that would be, or use a different browser like Chrome or Firefox. Those are usually the options that we've seen others do, but we'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Is it more beneficial to make a series and a group for users, i.e. sales as a group and as a series, or would you just need a sales group? I think that for simplicity's sake, I think it probably just makes sense to create the group, and then we make it easy for you to target specific series and or courses to those groups. Now, obviously, I think depending on how complicated your organization is or your training program, that can change. But I think, what we want is for, this to be as easy a process for you as possible. And I think probably, just in my experience, probably creating the group by itself and targeting series to those groups would be the easiest thing. Can a test taker stop in the middle of a test and start at another time and date? Yes, they can, and they'll pick up where they left off. Now, they need to be mindful of the deadline if you decide to set one. Also, incidentally, we do have the functionality to send out a reminder email to your users if they haven't completed. That's something that you have to turn on. It's not on by default. But yes, as long as they are within the confines of your deadline parameters, they can start whenever they want. And so that's back to that whole concept of the small bits and people being able to take it when it's convenient. So yeah, core functionality.
And also with that too, they could start their course on the computer and then pick it up on their iPad or their laptop. So a lot of flexibility there. So it doesn't matter what device they're using to take their course. If they leave at any point and come back, regardless of the device, they'll pick up right where they left off.
So I think we have time for maybe one or two more. So let's see. So in terms of so the webinar will be posted on our YouTube page in about 24 hours. So look out for that.
And then in terms of a test duration limit feature for if that's for courses or quizzes, currently it's not planned in the near future. For quizzes in particular, we are looking at putting in some work and improving that, whether it means adding new question types or adding additional functionality. That's all something that we will definitely be looking into. But at this time, the duration limit is not something that we have in the works. And the last two questions here, and if there are any more, we're happy to stick around and see if if you'd like to discuss them here, or as we've been mentioning a couple times now, we're definitely available to meet with you offline as well to get these questions answered. But it looks like we have just two. What method of audio yields the best quality? I think. Well, we definitely aren't the technical gurus of our company. We have some awesome team members here with us,
and we have a help page that talks about system requirements, which we can provide after this. But honestly, yeah, at the top of my head, I can't give you a list of the best audio quality. But again, we're happy to get some guidance for you on that. And let's see. Is there an option to be able to automatically go through the slides without using the next arrow? No, there's currently not, and I think we used to provide that, but it sort of is in line with our feeling that your trainees should be engaged. They shouldn't be just sitting by idly watching slides go by. They should, have to do something. And so, I don't know if that would change, but that's where it stands right now.
And then, let's see, what was this other one? Where is the selection made for multiple attempts at a quiz question? So when you're in the Manage tab and you click on the name of the quiz, that you created, each question you build has that option to increase the question attempts. But yeah, definitely if you can't find it, let us know. We'd be happy to help. And then it looks like someone had a suggestion for the audio. Recommended Audacity with a professional mic works fine. So that's an option for you there if you're looking for software to use to record the best quality audio.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for your time. We really enjoyed sharing with you our advice and answering your questions, and we want this conversation to continue. So feel free, and we encourage you to, if you're an existing customer and you haven't had a session with your customer success manager, to reach out at that customer success at mindflash.com and schedule a quick chat with us, and also check out our blog, because that's constantly updated with best practices as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Okay, bye-bye.